Nija ji, a big day today. Two meetings, 26 parties in Bengaluru. We have 38 parties. Prime Minister looked pretty aggressive. If I may ask you, what do the scales look like?
Look, it's a long haul, but as we say, using a cliche, the bugle has been sounded for 2024. Now, every day, you and I are going to see new strategies, new programs, parties breaking, parties reuniting from one side to another. It's a melting pot. Now, what do the scales look like? As of now, the NDA is way ahead if you were to go by the 2019 figures. And to give a beating to the 2019 figures is not easy because as far as the Prime Minister is concerned, there may be a little change in his popularity. Broadly, at the end of more than 9 years, he remains popular. And what the opposition is doing is, consolidate. 37% was with the BJP in 2019, 63% with the non-BJP. The opposition is now trying to consolidate as much of that opposition space in its favor as it possibly can. Will it be able to do it? Because there are several parties outside the ambit of their, involvement. They are not, whether it's Naveen Patnaik, whether it's KCR, whether it's Jagan Reddy, whether it's Mayawati, and those are big parties. So, it's very difficult to answer your question because it also hinges on how the ground sentiment is shifting. Is it shifting? Has anti-incumbency taken its toll or only to a certain extent? But certainly it's looking as coalition versus coalition in 2024. With the NDA now reaching out to allies new and old, 38 parties and here 26 parties. So the advantage with the NDA is you have a popular leader leading as the helmsman, and you have a big party as the pivot. On the other side, you have several parties. The Congress is only at around 50 seats. So they're getting together and mounting a one-on-one fight against the BJP or the NDA's candidate is their challenge. Of course, there is no clear leadership. So it's going to be, to answer your question briefly, it's going to be a long haul for them, but certainly the BJP is taking opposition unity efforts very seriously. That is evident from the Prime Minister's strident tone today. That's evident from the 38 parties that are meeting as part of NDA today, much more than possibly you and I are taking.
This reminds me when I was in school in late 80s, Gautam, there was an ad campaign which Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi then started, Mera Bharat Mahan. And if you recall that, you had this photograph of Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi standing like that, and then you had a sort of a ladder of leaders starting from Vishwanath Pratap Singh, then you had on top of it Devi Lal, then you had Chandrasekhar on top of it, and then you have Ajit Singh, then you had someone like left leaders, Jyoti Babu, and then you had N.T. Rama Rao. And so, the whole imagery was Rajiv Gandhi versus those 16 or 20 leaders. She has a very interesting point, Nija ji. She says it's going to be a battle of alliance. So is it correct to say it's not going to be Modi versus rest? The practicality has dawned on BJP that साथियों की भी ज़रूरत है, सारथी तो है, साथी की ज़रूरत है, वहाँ साथी बहुत है, सारथी नहीं है.
Well, to the extent that it does not want to appear arrogant and cocksure, very much these 38 parties are part and parcel of that apparent humility, could be actual humility. They have taken a beating in recent assembly elections. So I think they want to listen to other people a little more closely than they have been of late. Many of their frontal attacks, as in West Bengal, failed. They lost Karnataka rather humiliatingly. So it is definitely a time to take the whole business seriously. The other thing is that there's a tremendous amount at stake. A third term consecutively will mean a consolidation of the NDA hold on power, on ideology, on policy, on the direction this country will take in no uncertain terms. 15 straight years is the kind of thing that used to happen in the Nehruvian era, in Indira Gandhi's time with a few wobbles, and hasn't been seen since. And if this keeps up, then why not 20 and why not 25, which is part of the ambition of the BJP. So they cannot afford to be, cocksure or overconfident. It cost them very badly in 2004 when out of the blue, Congress managed to upturn this whole India shining and emerge, much to their surprise, into power. And they held on to it for 10 long years. So, yes, they have every reason to be cautious and to work, as I have been reading, right from the block level upwards, make sure that their cadres are motivated, make sure that they're getting full-on backing from the RSS because they are extremely effective at the grassroots level, and recent initiatives to try and reach out to territories that were not, are still not part of their voter base, such as the Pasmanda Muslims, and particularly the women amongst the Pasmanda Muslims. Will they use the UCC as a way to split some of that into their favor? Remains to be seen how much nerve, because it is a double-edged sword. It could provide a handle to the opposition that has very pointedly, added inclusive in its acronym. And, how much boldness will the BJP show? One is it needs to show a certain amount of boldness to keep its core voter base intact. Secondly, it needs to go beyond this 37, which is an average, but, in some places they've done very well, 40, 45, 50 even. So they need to bring up the voter, percentages, the vote percentages in their favor to more or less put this virulent part of the opposition in the shade and consolidate with the line or people usually the opposition, but have always sided with them, voted with them. So between the two and the 38, they hope to romp home once again with the leadership of the Modi.
Okay. Brijesh, there are two things. One, it is understandable that they don't want to make it BJP versus the rest. But then the sort of friends they have made, I think they'll require a lot of justification. For example, Ajit Pawar, Eknath Shinde, the charge of BJP being a laundromat, or as Mamta Banerjee, in a very famous, one of her shows where she, had a washing machine, and the black cloth went inside and the white coat came inside. That imagery would hold true. I think they have made friends, they've got them in the tent, but then what about the party with difference?
I mean, see, the people no longer say that the party of difference, because these are not the only cases. We have seen before, Mukul Roy, we have seen Subhendu Adhikari, and there are many others who have done that. See, what the BJP is trying to do right now is that it has displayed, as we have been discussed several times, Kartike, before as well, that 2024 remains the biggest challenge for the BJP. And the BJP is a party, BJP, and especially, more than BJP, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a person, is a politician who is not afraid to cut his losses. He's not afraid to put his neck out, and he's also in the same thing, not afraid to cut his losses and let go of a situation. The farmers' agitation is a case in point, and he's displaying the similar kind of thing here as far as the 2023 is concerned, because getting Eknath Shinde, getting Ajit Pawar is the reason why, because he knows that if he doesn't solve the problem of Maharashtra and Bihar, the chances of him losing out is pretty bad, because there have been several surveys which the BJP has gotten, other parties done, which has shown that if Maha Vikas Aghadi remains united, they will get more seats. A similar situation is in the state of Bihar. And this is the reason why you see the surprise entry of Chirag Paswan, who earlier was, Nitish Kumar said that he's acting at the behest of the BJP, but was shunted by a very senior leader and a senior minister in the BJP cabinet, who was responsible for him being out. Now look at Chirag Paswan, all smiling and being hugged by none other than Prime Minister Narendra Modi, much to the discomfiture of Paras Paswan, who's sitting there, and the visuals are telling a story. It's very clear who's happy, who is unhappy.
But how did they manage Chirag Paswan? I learned that Chirag was saying, "Mujhe meri party wapas do."
See, what they have done is that they have sent a very clear signal as to who do they think is the real inheritor, and now it is for Paras Paswan to make peace with the newfound reality. I think they have realized that they have to change the configuration of Bihar, and that is the reason where Chirag Paswan has made a dent. Remember, when assembly election was there, Chirag Paswan single-handedly dented Nitish Kumar's big plan of being the largest party. He didn't won many seats, but the fact is that yes, he was responsible for the defeat of Nitish Kumar, or Nitish Kumar's party getting so many less seats. So BJP right now is in a mode where they want to experiment, do every single kind of experiment which will ensure that they are able to reach or even better the 2019 mark.
Nija ji, as I was asking, it's they've got Shinde, they've got Ajit Pawar, but there is something called organicness of people coming together. Do you think it's they have done this big thing in Maharashtra with 48 Lok Sabha members, but is it workable?
Till the split took place, and I was in Maharashtra several parts, if you talk to ordinary people, the answer you would get is that MVA is going to win if elections take place today. Now we hear that there was sympathy for Uddhav Thackeray. Sharad Pawar was in control of the situation. Now that the party has split, the NCP, sympathy is still with Sharad Pawar of the NCP worker supporter. But what about the organization? The NCP is not a cadre-based party. The NCP is an MLA-based party. And yet, how this is going to equal out. The organization, the MLA is going one way, even though, in the last 2 days, many of them have come to Sharad Pawar and touched his feet and Maafi Mangna. What does it add up to politically? We don't know. In the coming hours, we will know what it all adds up to. But as of now, the organization has gone with Ajit Pawar and the sympathy with Sharad Pawar. What happens the 4 states that are going to be very decisive, as we know, is Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal, and Karnataka. And how much the BJP loses in these states as compared to 2019. And I think these are the 4 states they're going to concentrate on heavily in terms of their strategy. But, very interesting thing today, if I might point out, in Bangalore, you saw one, of course, that it's a very imaginative idea to call the alliance India. Because so far, the opposition was talking about saving democracy, saving constitution, economic difficulties of ordinary people, but were not able to translate it into an idiom which people could relate to. Now, India as an acronym, people will be able to relate to. NDA versus India, Modi versus India, idea of India versus, idea of India being India versus ideology of the BJP, and so on. India is a very catchy kind of, it's a bright slogan, a bright name that they have come up with. How much effect it will have, I think time will tell, because it's not only sentiment and cleverness which matters in organization in elections. It is the organization, leadership, and the BJP has a huge, formidable organization that the opposition has to contend with. And yet, I think the battle is going to become interesting by the hour from now on.
And Nija ji, I was just thinking, it's not only about those who are with NDA or with India. They have taken this word India. I know someone has really applied themselves well. India versus NDA. At least this much of grace marks can be given. I was just thinking that those who are neither with NDA nor with India are also very, very powerful, and they always cooperate with BJP on the floor of the house, whether it's YSRSCP or whether, Naveen Babu. They tend to, or Chandra Babu Naidu, or even often BRS, they tend to do some sort of a floor coordination with the incumbent government.
I think, if I were to, broadly, if I was to say, it is going to be, politics is going to be divided into two coalitions now. NDA led by BJP, Narendra Modi, this India, the Congress is trying to take a back seat. They're not pushing themselves forward and acting as the big brother, which is a change from the past. But India, and then you have, as you say, these parties, which is BJD, KCR's party, Jagan Reddy's YSR Congress, Mayawati. Mayawati is also not shown where she's going to go. Now, these are very important parties, but these parties, whatever be their secret understandings in the run-up to the election, they will go with whoever comes to power in 2024. That seems to be the clear, line that's coming through. So otherwise, we are now heading towards, once again, a two-coalitional arrangement, not a two-party arrangement, but two coalitional arrangement once again, as was the case when Mr. Vajpayee was in power.
A lot of people,
when UPA was in power.
A lot of people said in 2014 that, what LK Advani on the floor of the House after losing Lok Sabha election 2009 said, that, ultimately, we have a system which two parties dominate the, and he said this in Lok Sabha, that was like after the results were out, that it's a two-party system now, and he was saying that, like complimenting himself, saying that despite the fact that they've lost election, but there's a system in place, it's not a one-party domination. Came 2014, people, a lot of political writers, seasoned social scientists, they started writing, that was a political upward. The real system is one party, a dominant party at center, and sort of multiple parties at state. So, Gautam, it's so, the politics is so quick in this country that things change, where, he was being projected as one person against multiple parties. Today, they've gone back to multiple small parties.
Well, I think it is more a way of softening the image than a lack of confidence. Mm-hmm. The idea that, in effect, they expect to win a majority on their own. But to have another 30, 40 seats from the 38 Gathbandhan and things of that order cannot be bad. It only gives you greater heft and inclusiveness. It kind of blunts the other notion that Modi is a megalomaniac, a dictator, only and a Hindutva icon that doesn't give a damn about either the constitution or anyone else. All of this has to be blunted. And in order to do that, a move like this is very much in order. I don't think a coalition that comes about if it's a winning coalition. If the center collapses, it will be, as Nija pointed out, because they're unable to bust into Bihar as they have in Maharashtra, and that they turn the organization and the sentiment in their favor in these two states, assuming, of course, that they keep a tight hold on UP. They're almost home with just these three. And then the other northern states should see them through, even though I don't expect very much to happen for the NDA in the south. Now, in all of this, to make sure that the image problems are readdressed, I think that is what this is about. This is not a Vajpayee weak coalition that is expected. It is a coalition, all right, but a coalition that says, look, I am not giving all the orders, I'm listening to people.